So hello, everybody. This is Matt Scher from San Antonio, Texas. I'm the author of LinkedIn for Military. A lot of people know me as the LinkedIn Lighthouse Keeper. Through the last several years, I've gotten to know my friend Ed Hahn. Ed Hahn is a human resource specialist out of New Jersey. Now, Ed, where are you living these days in the great Garden State?
In Mercer County, right in the middle, probably about a 10-minute walk into Trenton if I really wanted.
Gotcha. Okay, but you like living there in beautiful, somewhere near Trenton, out in the country, right? On the sticks. Okay.
Yeah, it's lovely out today, I have to say, and weather we don't commonly get in August in New Jersey.
Yeah, I have several friends that live in New Jersey, and we always talk about the weather in the summer and the wintertime. So, Ed, one of the things I admire about what you do is how you share content and how you interact with people. Why is it so important for you, and you're a human resources specialist, to see people that interact with others with positive comments and shares and information? What does that tell you as a human resources staffing professional?
So it tells me a couple of things. Number one, there's a lot that's communicated when a person says something, right? For example, if on meeting me for the very first time, if the first thing out of my mouth is to complain about something that's happened, whatever something might be, I mean, that kind of sets the tone for the way you're going to think of me.
Right.
Right. Every first interaction is a first impression, and we all understand the power of a first impression, and that they're very difficult to overcome. I mean, it can be done if that person is open to and willing to keep an open mind about it. But the fact of the matter is, quite often that's not the case. So I'm always mindful when I interact with people in social media that this is the first exposure they have to me, in all likelihood, or they have had only very limited dealings with me, and they don't really know very much about who I am, what makes me tick, right? But on a deeper level, Matt, to me, the issue is that, there is so much negativity out there, so much negativity. Just generally speaking, I mean, granted, we're still in month 18 of a global pandemic, so that's been doing a number on a lot of people's mindsets. Wouldn't it be nice if people could just be supportive and uplift one another? Wouldn't it be a better world if we could all do that? So the way I want to engage with people in social media is very much one guy's way of trying to be the change.
One of the things that I like about you is that you put out these wonderful tips. And let me say this, if you're a military professional in transition, or if you're someone who is in an organization like prison ministry or any other form of outreach, you want to follow Ed. Okay, and I'm going to show Ed's profile so you know you've got the right Ed Hahn when you want to connect with him, okay, or follow him. But what's been the reaction to people that followed you? How have you built a relationship with people?
I don't think there's any one trend. People can encounter me across various forms of social media, honestly. My tip for the day, which I've been doing daily for over a decade now. But I also post that stuff on Twitter, where I've also been doing it for over a decade now. I posted on Facebook, for crying out loud, which I've been on for less time than either, to be honest. So I don't think there's a common theme so much as people will message me in some manner and say, hey, listen, I'm kind of interested in what you're doing. I want to talk about it, and, a conversation just takes place, whether it be electronic or someone's interested in doing a voice call, which honestly is always my preference. I like voice calls. They make me happy. I
Mm-hmm.
like talking with people, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Uh, everyone has a story to tell, and quite often it's really interesting. And quite often I learn something from it. Sometimes I learn something about myself from it too.
I have to say, every time I teach a LinkedIn class, I always learn more about LinkedIn because there's always something I hadn't
Hmm.
thought of. It's like, oh, I need to cover that. I need to bring it up. So Ed, imagine that you're new
Sure
to
thing.
LinkedIn. It's like, and you're military professional, because that's one of the audiences we're trying to help.
Of
What
course.
would you say to them as far as interacting with people and sharing content? What are your 2 to 3 simple rules?
So I've got a couple of rules. Number one, you always, in most of the service members I've spoken with, have known that they're in their unit somewhere along the way. There has been that guy, right? The one that, yeah, he's part of the unit. You know, don't be that guy. It's really very simple, right? I mean, it's as simple as the golden rule. And when you come right down to it, it's a pretty powerful and beautiful message. You know. Second, people, especially in social media, are quick to react but slower to think often, especially if it's a subject that we feel strongly about. You know, and that's natural. This is part of what we do. We react to things. You know, but sometimes the reaction isn't going to get you closer to your purpose. It doesn't achieve the mission. You know, maybe good tactically, maybe bad strategically. I mean, it might be a better way to think of it. You know, it just feels like a really good thing to say. Okay, empirically that might be, but it may not necessarily be the message you really want out there associated with who you are. Right? It becomes part of your jacket.
So what you're saying is think before you post, have a purpose before you post. And also when you're reacting to posts, think before you comment and think before you share. Very simple. So Ed,
Exactly.
one last question for you, because
Sure.
um, what kind of talent are you looking for these days?
These days, what I'm really looking for is IT professionals as a general rule.
Okay.
Um, Now, for me, those folks really need to be situated in basically in the central Jersey, southeastern Pennsylvania area.
Okay.
Like if you're like driving distance to Philly, that's definitely something that we should talk about.